Welcome to my new segment. This is Space News. I have gone through far too many articles for you guys all about various different aspects of space, and I've picked out the top 5 that I think you guys should read, and we're going to go through them in this video and in future videos. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the article is about and who I think it appeals to, and they're going to be linked in the description below so that you can quickly pop off and go read them once you're done watching the video. So let's get things started with our first article from ESA titled, oh, why did I scroll all the way to the bottom? It's not titled that. River Relic Spied by Mars Express. So Mars Express is a craft that has been launched to Mars, unsurprisingly, by the ESA, and it has found something very interesting just below the just south of the equator of Mars. And what it has found is a dried up lake and a dried up riverbed that look an awful lot like a lot of dried up lakes and dried up riverbeds from Earth. And on top of that, it's also mentioned at the end of the article that it's very possible that this is something called groundwater sapping, where basically the water can't push itself up through the soil, so it's sinking down, and that's causing the bed to dry out, the riverbed. This is a pretty short and sweet article, pretty good for if you just want something to quickly browse through, and also obviously excellent for everyone who's interested on where the settlement of Mars might go, or the possibility of finding life, even microbial life, on Mars. This is something that could definitely lead somewhere in the future. Next up from Science Daily is Distant Worlds Under Many Suns. Astrophysicist discovers numerous multiple star systems with exoplanets. It's a pretty good article, but it's not very well named. I think the title lets it down a lot because you can't really tell what it's about. So this is about some research that's been done into basically the conditions that are necessary for a planet to exist. And this is another good one for people who are interested in extraterrestrial life, or maybe people who are interested in writing science fiction and might be interested in writing maybe a little bit more of an interesting planet than your standard one planet, one moon orbiting around a sun-sized sun. So this talks about 2 cases. Briefly, it mentions white dwarfs that have been found with planets around them, and white dwarfs are the last stage of a star's life cycle, so it's basically showing that yes, planets can actually survive right until the end part of a star's life cycle. And then it goes on to talk about what the title is referring to, which is about stars, multiple stars in a system, so 2 or 3 stars that are all caught in each other's gravity, and planets that have been found around them. And it talks about the fact that these star systems that do have planets there's about half as many as they expected there to be, and they are also much further apart than the average star system, which has a lot of implications for what is actually necessary for a planet to form. So if you'd like to read more about that, again, the link for this one will be in the description below, and we're moving on to our next article. So our next video is from Universe Today, and it's titled New Research Suggests That the Universe is a Sphere and Not Flat After All. And those of you with a keen eye will notice that it was actually published on November the 6th, which is not this week. But the reason that I chose to include it is because phys.org also published an article on the same subject this week, but theirs was significantly worse. And I want to point people towards the better of the two articles. So this article I think is a lot better structured than the phys.org one. It starts off by introducing you to the history of why people are focused on the shape of the universe and the implication of the three different shapes, which are flat, open and closed, and why there's been such a strong preference for going for a flat universe throughout the history of this research. And then it introduces you to the research that's just been done and why it implies that the universe is closed and not flat, and then it goes back to the implications of kind of where the gaps in our knowledge might be. So it's very good at leading you through this subject in a very natural way, and I think if you have an interest in cosmology, or if you want to learn more about the structure of the universe, or if you don't really quite get the whole shape of the universe thing, I think it's good at explaining all of those points and a whole lot more. Now, while space.com might have dropped the ball on their article on the shape of the universe, they didn't drop the ball on their article on buckyballs. For those of you who don't know what buckyballs are, they are a collection of carbon atoms that are all joined together in a big sphere that kind of looks like a soccer ball. And this article is actually formatted in a very similar manner to the previous article, where it starts off talking about the history of buckyball research and how they used to be manufactured in a lab in a way that, as far as we know, can't be replicated anywhere in nature, and how people kind of thought that it wouldn't actually be possible for buckyballs to be formed out in space because there's so much hydrogen and helium in comparison to the amount of carbon. Moving on to the fact that they did actually find buckyballs out there in space, and how now researchers have taken space dust, a very common type of space dust, and put it into a situation that would actually be pretty normal for it to be in out there in a planetary nebula or something like that, and that they've actually figured out a way of using that to make buckyballs. So this is a pretty good article if you're interested in chemistry, or if you're interested in sort of what the conditions of outer space are like, or if you're just interested in the progression of scientific knowledge. It covers a lot of bases, and I think it does a lot of them very well. So our fifth and final article again comes from Universe Today, and I knew I had to include it as soon as I saw the title because it is called "Satellites Watched Mercury's Transit from Space, Confirming that, yes, the Sun has at least one planet." And while that may be the highlight of the article, it has plenty of good points once you choose to scroll down. On top of being full of just good content in the text, it has a lot of spectacular pictures of Mercury, and it also has 2 videos embedded in it, including a 4K video of the transit of Mercury that just occurred. Excellent for those of you like myself who couldn't see it because it has been raining all week. Anyway, moving on to the content of the article itself. It's definitely densely packed with a lot of interesting stuff. So the first half of the article is talking about kind of transits of planets in general and what information we can gather about the star that the planet is orbiting and the planet itself, and how that's being used for a variety of purposes in scientific research. A lot of good stuff in there. And then it moves on to just a whole list of just really cool facts about Mercury, about its structure and orbit, and all that good stuff. And then it finishes off by going over some of the previous missions to Mercury, and that's where they get all those fantastic shots that have been from those orbiting missions from the past. Some really spectacular images of all the craters and stuff I would highly recommend. So that's our 5 articles for today. Hopefully at least one of them has piqued your interest enough that you're going to go and check it out. If you liked this format of video, please let me know. If you didn't like it, I guess you can tell me that as well, but I'll probably ignore you because this is going to be the format, at least for the next few videos. Anyway, that's all for today, and I'll see you next week with 5 more articles. Till then, bye bye.